Здравствуйте, с вами сир S.T.A.L.K.E.R, и сегодня мы начнем проходить игру в Stanley Parable. Особенно главное меню. Мы видим в компьютере наше главное меню. Интересно. Ладно, хорошо, начнем играть. End is never. Конец. Короче, игра без конца. Тут написано, что никогда не будет конца. Мне страшно уже. Ладно, посмотрим, что нам покажет эта игра. Я слышал много похвал насчет нее, но увидим. Click to skip.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Хорошо.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number
Задача рабочей
427's job
427 была
was
проста.
simple.
Он
He
сидел
sat
за
at his
столом в
desk in
комнате
room
427
and he
и
pushed
нажимал
buttons
кнопки на
on the
клавиатуре.
keyboard. Orders came to him through a
Приказы шли с
monitor,
экрана на его столе,
telling
и в
him
них
what
указывалось,
buttons to
какие
push,
кнопки надо
how long
нажать,
to push
как
them,
долго их надо
and
жать и в
more.
каком порядке.
This is what employee
Рабочий
427
427
did
делал это
every
каждый
day,
день,
every
каждого
month,
месяца,
of every
каждого
year.
года. И если для кого-то такая работа могла
Considered it
стать
so
угнетающей,
Станли
Стэнли радовался каждый раз, когда поступали приказы, словно он был создан специально для этой работы. И Стэнли был счастлив. Ладно. Но однажды случилось нечто очень странное. Нечто, что навсегда изменит Стэнли. Нечто, что он не может забыть. Он сидел за своим столом почти час, когда внезапно осознал, что ни единого приказа с экрана для него не поступало. Никто не прошел дать ему указаний, позвать на совещание или просто поздороваться. За все годы работы в компании такого не случалось. Такой полной изоляции. Что-то явно было не так. Стэнли был абсолютно шокирован и долгое время не мог сдвинуться с места. Но потом он пришел в себя, собрался, встал из-за стола и вышел в коридор. Все его коллеги исчезли. Как же так случилось? Стэнли решил пойти в конференц-зал. Может, он просто пропустил уведомление? А где этот конференц-зал? Можно узнать? Нет. Так, окей, туда. Коридоры. Когда Стэнли подошел к двум открытым дверям, он вошел в дверь слева. Хорошо. Но и тут никого не было. Не веря своим глазам, Стэнли решил подняться в кабинет начальника, надеждой найти ответы там. Окей. Так. Подойдя к лестнице, Стэнли пошел наверх в кабинет начальника. Окей. То есть нам говорят, что делать. Ладно. Я не буду спорить с игрой. Это что? Так, куда? Начальник. Зайдя в дирекцию, Стэнли снова был ошеломлен отсутствием хоть кого-то живого. Совершенно шокированный Стэнли начал гадать, кто все это устроил, какие темные секреты от него скрывали. Чего он не мог знать, так это того, что кнопочная панель за столом начальника охраняла ужасную правду, которую начальник от него скрывал. И для этого начальник поставил на нее особый секретный код 2845. 2845. Эй, я хочу нажать эту кнопку 2845. Как? Где там эта кнопка была?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
А, блин. Ладно, не то нажал. 2, 8, 4, 5. Спасибо, чувак. Каким-то образом, нажимая случайные кнопки, Стэнли угадал правильный код. Невероятно. Он зашел в открытый проход. Где открытый проход? Окей. Сюда? Окей, поехали. Опять загрузка. Ладно. Я надеюсь, еще никого не раздражаю тем, что я комментирую комментаторы. Спускаясь в глубины здания, Стэнли заметил, что чувствует себя как-то особенно. Зарождающиеся эмоции в груди, словно он мог свободнее думать, сомневаться в смысле своей работы. Почему он чувствовал это сейчас? Не задумывался об этом годами ранее? Этот вопрос не останется неотвеченным надолго. Окей. Что-то как-то стрёмно немного. Стэнли пошел прямо и зашел в дверь, над которой было написано «Станция управления сознанием». Ух, ё. А чё, это обязательно? Да. Ё-моё, мне страшно. Мо! Свет залил гигантскую комнату с множеством экранов. Какой ужасный секрет хранила эта комната, продумал про себя Стэнли. Хватит ли у него мужества узнать? Да, конечно, почему нет? Тут у нас есть выбор. Так, это что? Теперь загорелись мониторы, раскрыв свое настоящее предназначение. На каждом из них был номер работника здания, коллег Стэнли. Жизни стольких людей, упрощенные до изображения на мониторе, и Стэнли был среди них, под постоянным присмотром в этом месте, где свобода была пустым звуком. Так, окей. Что-то там... Что-то еще нажмем? Лифт. Это станция управления сознанием. Слишком ужасно, чтобы поверить. Не могло это быть правдой. Неужели Стэнли действительно был все это время под чьим-то контролем? Только поэтому ли он был доволен своей нудной работой? Потому что его эмоции исказили, чтобы он слепо принимал команду. Не знаю. Нет, он не хотел в это верить. Не мог этого принять. Его жизнь под чьим-то контролем никогда. Такому было сложно и подумать. Разве такое возможно? Неужели он действительно провел всю свою жизнь, не видя правды? Но вот и доказательство. Сердце станции. Кнопки подписаны эмоциями. Счастлив, несчастлив и доволен. Ходьба, прием пищи, работа. Все прослеживалось и управлялось из этого места. Ну нифига себе. И когда холодная реальность прошлого начала укладываться в голове, Стэнли решил, что эта система никогда не будет больше иметь власти над чьей-то жизнью. Ибо он сломает, положит этой системе конец. Счастье, несчастье, довольно. Ну ладно. И что, нам в этот круг идти? Нет. Ладно. Комментатор, помоги им нам. Что там делать? Чувак, а вот. Facility Power, да, страшно. Отлично. Mind Control Seed Elevating Input. Окей. System Power. А когда он наконец нашел источник питания комнаты, узнал, что его долгом, его обязанностью было остановить это ужасное место и все, что оно символизировало. О, Стэнли, ты только что включил этот пульт управления. После годов рабства ты решил попробовать управлять системой сам? Ты этого хотел? Власти? Да, Стэнли. Попытка была хорошая. Серьезно. Система может далеко не все. Ты должен был не поддаться порыву, выключить управление и уйти. Если ты хотел испортить мою историю, тебе нужно было придумать что-то получше. У тебя нет ни капли той власти, которую ты себе возомнил. Например, ты должен оценить такой поворот. Внезапно Стэнли осознал, что только включил систему аварийного самоуничтожения. Включить установку, не пройдя проверку ДНК, активируются ядерные детонаторы и уничтожает весь комплекс. Отлично. Сколько осталось до взрыва? Пускай будет 2 минуты. Ситуация становится интереснее, не правда ли, Стэнли? Вперед, это теперь твоя история, можешь ее менять как захочешь. Это настолько лучше, чем то, что я задумал. Какая жалость, что тебе недолго этим осталось наслаждаться. Всего несколько мгновений перед взрывом бомбы, но каждое мгновение настолько дорого. Больше времени поговорить о тебе, обо мне, куда мы идем. Что это все означает? Даже не знаю, с чего начать. Не могу выключить. Что? Ты хочешь узнать, что случилось с коллегами? Немного милосердия перед тем, как тебя сотрет с лица земли? Хорошо, у меня хорошее настроение, а ты все равно умрешь. Я тебе расскажу, что с ними произошло. Я их стер. Я выключил машину. Я вас тебя освободил. Конечно, это только в этом варианте истории. Иногда, когда я ее рассказываю, я просто оставляю тебя сидеть в офисе навсегда, где ты постоянно нажимаешь на кнопки и потом умираешь в одиночестве. Иногда я делаю так, чтобы весь офис ушел под землю, со всем содержимым. Или сжигаю его дотла. Но ты должен признать, эта версия истории была весьма занимательна. Смотреть, как ты пытаешься найти ответ и вернуть власть, которую у тебя отобрали. Увлекательно. Даже жаль, что скоро закончится. Уверен, в следующий раз смогу выдумать что-то еще более интересное. Вау. 34 секунды. Блин, нормально так вообще игру начали. Ну еще времени добавил. Зачем? Ладно, мне кажется, я уже устал говорить. Я думаю, что вы все-таки будете смотреть.
Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me.
Должно спасти же что-то.
Stanley, that this video game can be beaten, won, solved. Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
Это не я играю в игру, это она играет со мной. Блин.
But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your
Ну так что не творить-то, а? Прекрасно. Ладно, я приму смерть достойно. Да, я буду управлять миром.
But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't.
Хорошо.
Take a look at the clock. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle.
30
seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count.
Буду отчаянно цепляться.
It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Да. Я проиграл. Вот загрузка. Правда? С самого начала? Вы издеваетесь? Ладно, я пропущу этот момент. Видимо, мне надо все заново проходить. Всю вонючую игру. Но сначала я подойду в дверь справа. Ладно, да.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Слева, первая дверь слева.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago.
Опа, а если я тут пойду?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing in your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
Хорошо.
There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten?
Хорошо.
Please, stop trying to make every
Не
decision
буду
by
тебя слушать
yourself.
в каждом
I'm
слове.
not
Все,
asking for
ладно.
me, I'm asking for her.
Так, теперь
This
куда
is it,
идти?
Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into
Да.
your life. She's been
Что это?
waiting.
Что это? Ё-моё.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to reach out to her.
Звонит кто-то?
If you can truly place your faith.
Так. И что же я должен делать? Стоп. Что
Oh,
это?
Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now,
Хорошо.
I want you to come in and tell me all about your
Ё-моё.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something.
Okay.
Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Окей.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Прекрасно. Доброе утро, работник. Нажмите 8 на клавиатуре.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the
надо мной
inconsequential
издевается.
nature of his existence.
Пожалуйста, нажмите N.
Look at him
Ладно.
there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Пожалуйста, нажмите его. Ну
But in
ладно.
his mind, in his
Ой.
mind, he can go on fantastic adventures.
Ой, Господи.
From behind his
Что
desk,
это- что
Stanley
происходит?
dreamed of wild expeditions into the
Да,
unknown,
круто.
fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Фигово. Нажмите C, чтобы посмотреть
And
ТВ.
so he began to fantasize about his own job.
Фу, это
First, he
меняется
imagined that
что-то.
one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone
понял
in
твой
the
намек.
building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Нажмите C, чтобы поиграть с сыновьями. У меня
So
есть
he
сыновья.
went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to
О,
behold.
Господи. Нажмите N, чтобы
As
приготовить
he
ужин.
wandered through this
Ё-моё.
fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
8, чтобы рассказать детям
It
сказку.
was such a
Хорошо.
wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then
Господи,
again,
чувак.
and again,
Лучше
over
убей
and over,
меня.
wishing beyond
Я
hope
понял,
that
что
it
я
would never
лоханулся.
end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
В, чтобы сказать жене, что я
But
тебя
there is
люблю,
no
манекен,
answer.
ё-моё.
How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the
Ё-моё.
more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Ё-моё, мне страшно. Нажмите 0, чтобы пойти спать. А, это О.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly
Господи.
killing himself. But he won't listen to me.
Но он
He won't
будет меня
stop.
пилить.
Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Хорошо. А не нажму. Ну, я не нажимаю. Не нажму. Эй. Я не буду нажимать эту кнопку, что это плохое случится. Я уже знаю это, что это очень плохое. Ужасное. Ну ладно, блин. Давайте еще подождем. Да пошло.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Пожалуйста, посмотрите, нажмите R, чтобы не задавать вопросов.
I suppose I can't. Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules.
Ты издеваешься, он сказал не нажимать кнопку, но я не могу не нажать кнопку.
Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him.
Еще раз, ладно. Я обещаю, я буду делать все хорошо.
Maybe this time you'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again.
Пожалуйста, умрите.
Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I
Что это было? Господи. Третий раз. В этот раз...
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were.
Ладно,
Just
я
a matter
понял
of
тебя, чувак.
time. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Дверь слева.
Yet there was not a single person here
Да,
either.
мы знаем уже.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he'd come into a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his
Не,
boss's
я боюсь
office.
спускаться уже. Нет. Нет, 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 нет. Все. Меня уже 2 раза запорол.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Из-за того, что я слишком быстро нажал эти цифры, он сказал, что я слишком быстро хочу пройти эту историю.
And rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the
Все-таки
open
я сниму,
passageway.
потому что это не снимать, это что-то страшное. Так, ладно, идем по тому же пути. Может, он скажет в этот раз что-нибудь новое. Потому что он уже знает, что я лоханулся 2 раза. О, нет, загрузка. Все. Так, идем. Идем. Все то же самое.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Окей, сейчас мы включим.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Хорошо.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Мы уже знаем. Мы уже все знаем. Так.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Вызовем лифт. В этот раз
This
тут
mind
запороть вроде
control
ничего нельзя.
facility, it was too horrible to believe it couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Стрёмно.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Так,
But here was the
пошли.
proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very
Offline.
place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery
наверное,
would
опять
never
скажешь, что я
again
слишком
exert
спешу.
its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once.
Опа. В этот раз я ее выключил. Эй. Кто-нибудь. Что происходит?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it
Хорошо.
over?
Получилось?
Yes.
Да.
He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And
Свобода
yet,
была уже так
even as
близко?
the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he
Да,
had
тут мне
been
ничего не
seeking,
нажать, ладно?
but happiness. Perhaps his
Счастье.
goal had not been to understand, but to let go.
О,
No longer would
природа.
anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be
О, да.
his. And that was all he needed to know.
Мы
It
победили.
was perhaps the only thing worth knowing.
Надеюсь.
Stanley stepped through the open door.
Ну,
Stanley felt the cool breeze
я не
upon his
управляю.
skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was
Круто.
exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Это все? Это все, да?
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
Это вся игра? Ну, ладно. Мы...
When
Для
Stanley
интереса.
came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door
Где
on
мы
his
могли
left.
еще пойти в другое место, мы могли спуститься по лестнице.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
Потому что всё
Stanley
остальное мы,
decided
по-моему,
to
уже
go
сделали.
up to his boss's office. Hope coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
О, низ. О,
But
машина.
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy,
Да.
why had he taken that risk?
Oh,
All because
exit.
he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously
одинаково.
out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
Да.
No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone.
Хорошо.
He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Okay.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
То есть в этот раз мы выбрались из комплекса, но сошли с ума. Так.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed. then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Так, я умер от старости. Ладно.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Mr. Memo.
Поищем какую-нибудь шестую концовку. Попробую пройти. Что если...
Oh, and I guess this is where Stanley felt he needed to be right now, in this little hallway. Here, with no distractions, to study room 417. Not to actually enter it. No. That would be far too forward. Stanley wanted to know it from the outside, to see it not just with his eyes, but with his heart. He would know room 417 as no man or woman had ever known an office before. That ladder over there. Oh, and that little picture of a horizon or something. It's all just a never-ending parade of joy for Stanley. Ah, no, apparently not.
Закрыто. 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 Буду все сейчас изучать.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous... But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Так, туда я ходил. Окей, сюда.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Нет. Тут есть лифт. Эй, куда я?
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
Блин. Не открывается ничего.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Ой, ё-моё. Ну окей.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Ой, господи, мне нравится этот
Let's
чувак.
see, we went down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Хорошо. Кнопка нет, это фонарик. Так, оу.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. It's already completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Окей. Так, я даже не знаю, куда мне пойти. Уже столько концовок в этой игре.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Блин. Ладно, идем. В этот коридор мы уже смотрели. Так.
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Хорошо. Так, давайте туда пойдем. Эти две двери уже. Понятно. Ты еще одно издевательство. Может быть, я что-то найду, но мне кажется, это слишком будет. Пойду налево.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Ну ладно, давайте еще раз. Почему нет?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Хорошо.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ладно, идем в конференц-зал. Ладно. Ой, блин. Так. Ой-ё, это что такое?
I must be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Давай посмотрим. Чё нет?
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. The story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Хорошо. Ё-моё.
Now this...
Чё за нах?
Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
Я победил!
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all.
Прекрасно.
We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations.
Вот блин.
Okay? I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to
Перезапуск. Опять. Хорошо. Так, чувак.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line.
Хорошо.
Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Ладно. Все. Ой-ё. Ты уверен? Хорошо.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
О, мне нравится.
Wait, cut the music. Go back and look at that fern.
Нет.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Ой, опять спойлер.
No. Yeah, Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Окей. Опять?
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us?
Хорошо.
We're intelligent people, right?
Я согласен.
Why can't we make up our own story?
Да.
Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Oh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Так, какую? Какую сторону? Чувак. А, вот. Погнали туда, да, чё нет?
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms.
Господи.
Just don't acknowledge it. We should be fine.
Окей, все. Не обращаю внимания. Ну, я пошла куда-то наверх. Так, ладно, идем. Это наша история.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision.
Wow.
From here, the story is in our control. How
Прекрасно.
important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with that counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Не открывать. Ой, это что
Hold
такое?
up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined?
Правда.
So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
Хорошо.
And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we,
Да,
did
мы сломали
we
цикл.
break the
Ура!
cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Find the bookstore. Get bored
So-
and leave.
Okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now.
Хорошо.
We'll find out, won't we? Eventually.
Давай ждать.
Well, in the meantime, if
Опять? Так,
All
чувак.
of his co-workers were gone.
Всё.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
В этот раз все должно быть хорошо.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Я для уверенности все-таки пройду немного, проверю.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office,
Опа.
hoping he might find an answer there.
Опа.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Я закрылся в чулане. Ну ладно. Видимо, это не концовка.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Опа, это что такое? Опа. Опа. Что это такое? Нет, видимо, ничего не происходит. Тут еще двери. Опа, еще двери. Больше дверей. Погнали на лифте. Погнали куда-нибудь. Наверх. Мне нравится. О, наше имя. Пам-пам-пам-пам-пам-пам. Окей. Когда нажимаю И, он бьет по клавиатуре. О, тихо, мы приехали куда-то. Это, ладно, я не буду ничего говорить на этот счет.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad, Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
Ой, мне нравится этот чувак. Господи. Так, нет, а если я введу код? Ой, тут все закрылось. Просто интересно. Блин, я забыл пароль. А, ладно, фиг с ним. Так, идем заново. Неужели мы пройдем это все? Сейчас посмотрим. Надо для уверенности пройти последний раз, чтобы понять, что больше уже нечего сделать в этой игре.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape!
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Нет.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Так, я жив?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no
Господи, сколько же в этой игре
consequence.
концовок-то?
Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life.
Конец-то конец.
Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the
Ё-моё.
narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated, as the machine crushed every bone in his body,
А ты
killing
кто?
him instantly.
What? Че за нах? Куда мы идем? Stanley
And
Parable.
yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Кнопки. Вот двери. Окей. О, ребята, вы лучше. Вы сделали игру такую. Так, ладно, идем. Тут что-то есть?
Stanley walked through the green door. Then he pushed the number 4.
Прикольно, я дошел до музея. Я слышал рассказчика, он где-то там. Так, это что у нас? Монитор, рум, элевейтор. Ай, блин. О, экзит.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No. But listen to me. You can still save those two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now. Be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time
Бугага, я не нажал выйти из игры. И что? Все? Я не выжил. Все, вернулся в главное меню. Заново. Ладно, начать игру. Мы начнем заново.
This is...
Окей.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could
Последний
it
раз,
mean?
надеюсь.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Все, ладно, делаем все, как он скажет, до того момента. Мне кажется, там уже
When
ничего
Stanley
не
came
должно
to a
быть.
set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Все, чувак. Ладно, я буду тебя слушать.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Here's the door, just go.
Окей, спасибо, чувак. Он уже знает, что это не впервой. Ладно, снова проходим.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read
Так, это
Mind
уже
Control
было.
Facility.
Это, мне кажется, не, кроме этого ничего не
The
сделано.
lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What
попасть я не
horrible
могу.
secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to
Где-то я
himself.
выходил там.
Did he have the strength to
А,
find
вот там
out?
вот выходил. Спойлер. Стэнли, зажми глаза. Это же спойлер. Так.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ладно, знаем. Все уже знаем. Лифт.
This mind-control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Вот так, тут.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Видимо, они ничего не делают. Там есть кнопка. Туда не зайти. К сожалению. Нет, вот один. Один. Два. Три. Где три? Где три? Три. Так. Все. Завершаем. Значит, system power off.
And when at last he found the source of the room's
Все. Отключили. Музон.
blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine! Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Я не хочу туда идти, я хочу вернуться и разгадать загадки. Нет. Нет, я не могу вернуться. Правда. Прыгать тоже не могу. Ну ладно, чего уж там.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new life before
По-моему,
him.
это
This
наконец-то
was exactly the
конец.
way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Да, мы прошли игру всеми возможными способами. Отличная игра. Просто столько поворотов. Все, ладно. Спасибо всем за просмотр и просмотрел, кто все прохождение. Подписывайтесь на канал. И все.